Good morning, welcome to Signal Boost. For me, it's a weekday morning, and I thought we would just do a get ready with me featuring Reina Rebelde. We're going to put on just one eye shade just to brighten up the lids here. This is her Azteca palette. I'm going to use this one, I think, just to brighten the eyes. And you can see my camera in the mirror. And then we're going to give ourselves a nice red lip with the much used and much loved, which is all you need to know, Brava lipstick that she has. You can see that label is worn because I've used this extensively. I really love it. It's a beautiful kind of blue toned red. Anyway, we'll get into that. So let's get started. As you know, I have products made by people other than people of color and immigrants and first generation people. My collection is mixed, and so what I'm going to do is just, when I use those products, I'm just going to let you know that I'm, for instance, right now, using my foundation. I'm just going to put this on the center of my face, where I need the coverage the most, and I'm just going to spread and pat up very lightly with my fingers. 1/4 of my noses, for my mustachio area, where I have some discoloration and melasma. And a little extra on my chin. My chin tends to get very pink. And then I'm going to buff that in with my little kabuki brush. Starting where I applied first. I'm going to use stippling motions because I want to keep the coverage, which is just a light medium. This particular foundation is kind of more fluid and runny, and for every day I normally do just one pump of it, and I just really do a light coverage, and I do 2 pumps if I have a special event or want to look extra good on Zoom. I used 2 pumps the other night when I had a meeting with my board, because I knew I was going to be speaking and being kind of the center of attention for a little while. Okay, so now on to concealer. I just use a small amount. One of the things that I've noticed over the past year, as you know, I'm 43, and my skin has really changed a lot in the past year. It's definitely getting drier, so now instead of really having uniformly oily skin, I have very combination skin. So I get oily in my T-zone, especially my forehead and my chin, and I'm getting very dry under eyes. So this morning I prepped with a lot of good skincare. I don't actually cleanse in the morning. I just rinse with water, and I've been doing a little bit of exfoliation since I have that protective layer of moisture from an oil from the night time. I just use a terry cloth washcloth and just very ever so gently just kind of do a little bit of physical exfoliation in the morning. So I'm expecting some eye primer from Makeup by Mario in a few days, but I right now don't have a dedicated eye primer. So I just took a little bit of concealer onto my lid, and that's gonna have to be good enough. So this is just enough coverage. You can still see my tear troughs here, especially when I'm in the shadows because I have light coming from above. But so I still have my natural variation in my skin, but it's more smoothed out, more blurred with the foundation. Just a light layer because I really like a more natural coverage. And then I'm going to take that kabuki brush and just incorporate the foundation and concealer together. Notice I didn't put much foundation on my nose. I find that the coverage looks more natural when I put as little as possible on my nose. You can still, I still have my unwaxed mustache area, and you know what, women have facial hair, and that's fine. At one point I may take it off, but for right now it's fine. Okay, now here's an actual product I can mention that I'm using. This is, again, another well-used and well-loved product. This is the Danessa Myricks Evolution Powder, and I just have it in shade 01, which is translucent. So it looks white in the container, but it goes on translucent. I don't have dark skin, so I haven't tested this on dark skin, but Danessa Myricks is a wonderful makeup artist of color, and so my I think reasonable assumption is that it probably works on dark skin too. So I'm actually just going to dip my finger in this, and what I like about this is that it has this screen. It's kind of a fabric screen, so it doesn't have those huge holes, so you can kind of more easily get just the amount of product you want. So I'm just going to tap that into the under eye area while the concealer is still wet so that I can set and I have fewer creases. I don't overdo it because I do have fine lines and wrinkles under my eyes, and I'm just going to brush off the excess, and I don't want to dry out that area. So I'm just going to grab a small amount on my brush, which is easy to get through this screen, and I'm going to brush in an upwards motion for my forehead. I'm really going to concentrate this on the center of my face and my cheeks, where I'm going to put powder blush. And then I'm going to go in a downwards motion here because I do have peach fuzz, and it makes everything look smoother if I use a downward motion with my powder. I'm going to just throw a little bit on my lids to set that concealer before we do eyeshadow. So there we go, powdered up very lightly. As I said, my skin is getting a lot drier, so I am having to change how I put on my makeup, and it's been interesting to figure out new ways to do things. So now I'm going to bring a little bit of color to my face, since I'm wearing a red toned lipstick, not red tone, red lipstick today. I'm going to go a little heavier on the blush than I normally would, because if I just wear red lipstick and I don't wear enough blush, I have kind of the vampire effect with how pale I am. So I'm going to take a baked kind of neutral toned blush, and I'm just going to kind of pat it into the apples of my cheeks and then blend it out. This has a little shimmer to it too, so it adds some nice luminosity without having to have a separate highlighter. And I'm just going to throw in a little bit of that blush under the tail of my brow and into kind of that outer crease area, and that just helps you have more of an integrated look. And I'm going to grab my mirror and make sure I'm blending this out nicely. Baked products can go on a lot heavier, and so you kind of have to be have a light hand and spend some time blending them out often. So we will revisit the blush and see if we need any more after lipstick. Okay, my base and my blush are done. Some days I would do a bronzer. I don't actually have a bronzer right now. I'm expecting some bronzer from Fesca Beauty, which I'm really excited about. So I just take a neutral matte eye palette, and I carefully dip my brush into the appropriate colored eyeshadow, and that works really well as a bronzer for me. So that's just a trick if you don't have bronzer. If you have a nice neutral palette of mattes, and I think Makeup by Mario has one. I should look into what other brands that fit our category have a nice neutral matte palette, because it's just a workhorse. I just use it almost every day. I'm not using it today, which is unusual. Okay, so we're ready for eyes. I always do eyes first, or eyes last, sorry, after base, because I find that today I had it planned out, but most days I really want to put on my base to get that canvas and see how I feel. So we are going to use this Azteca palette. I will try not to put the camera in the, in the mirror. And like I said, we're going to use this shade here, and it's just a nice light. Here, we'll swatch it. It's just a nice light, warm tone, kind of champagne-y color. I don't know if you can see that, but it has a nice luminosity. You can see it's very warm toned on my arm. But it's not so warm that it's going to clash, I think, with the lipstick. On my skin tone, this is just going to give us a nice brightness. And I'm just going to take a nice domed kind of eyeshadow brush. And this is a wet dry palette, so you can use water if you want to make this more vibrant, but this is just a workday, weekday look. So you can see between the two eyes, you can't see a whole lot of pigment, but you can see a brightness there. And I'm just going to concentrate it into the center of my lid where you want the most light to come. And I put quite a lot on my brush here. So I can get a good amount of pigment. I'm just going to use my mirror here. Put it on both sides of the brush so I don't have to dip back in. And I'm going to kind of blend it up into the crease so it's nicely integrated with that little bit of color and blush. And I'll come up close so you can see it's got a little bit of brightness there. So that's it, and it's just a nice everyday. There's no fallout with this particular color when it's dry in this palette. So it's just a nice brightening shade, a nice everyday shade, kind of one of those workhorse shades. And next I'm going to just tightline with some dark gray eyeliner. And this, since I have such light features, it helps to define the features of my face just very subtly. This kind of like a no makeup look, I guess, except for bright red lips. So I just run this under my lash line, and that just helps, if you can see, give a little bit more contrast with that light colored eye shade. On a different day, I might put a little bit darker shadow here in the corners to give it more dimension, but this is just kind of an everyday weekday look. This is quick. I have work, so I'm just going to go with that. And then I'm going to curl my eyelashes. Oh boy, I better use my mirror for this too, so they don't pinch my delicate eye skin. I like to give it a curl at the base and then move up along the lashes to give them a good curl all the way up through. And then mascara. And for mascara, I just use a nice black. And I give a little wiggle at the base to enhance the tight line, and then just wiggle up through the lashes. This isn't an intense look, it's a daytime look, so you can see it's just a little bit. Just do one layer, and actually I don't even re-dip between eyes. I noticed that lashes don't show up very well, natural lashes don't show up very well on video, but this in person looks nice and light and fluttery. And just helps, again, define the features of my face so that I don't get all washed out. Next, I'm going to do my brows, and I actually, lots of people love doing brows. I don't. I have really bushy eyebrows that have kind of like places where there's not as much color. And so my goal is really just to bring a little bit of extra color and sculpture to my eyebrows. So I just use a brow mascara and concentrate the color up in my arch, back on my tail, and do a little up front. Just kind of brushing them up and adding color at the same time. If you are lucky enough to have lots of brow hair, like I do, because I never rip them out at any point, and also just because I am a very hairy person, really just brushing them up is enough for a daytime look. I'm just gonna get a little bit of that extra pigment. Okay, all done, and so the eyes are done, the blush, and we're ready for lipstick. So this is my favorite part. I love red lipstick. It makes me feel powerful and confident. It's a pick-me-up when I'm having a day that's not so hot. So I don't find with this lipstick that I really have to put down a balm unless my lips are feeling exceptionally dry, because it's pretty pretty illuminating, or not illuminating, it's pretty emollient. So, but it's not overly emollient. It's just the right consistency. So I'm just going to line my lip with a little bit of a darker red. A little bit to soften the line, and then here comes the star of our show. It used to have a nice point on the top, and then I just used it and used it and used it, so here we go. There is the beautiful red. It looks a lot cooler on the monitor. Maybe a little warmer actually on the monitor. I don't know. It looks a little different on camera than it does in real life, but it's just a nice, it's still a weekday look, but it's not overwhelming. It gives you some dimension, some life. I often like focusing on the lips and really doing very little on the eyes to kind of bring attention to them, and this just makes me feel ready for the day. Anyway, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you take care of yourself. Remember to drink lots of water, and I will see you next time.